UFC Vegas 113. These are the full card predictions and the betting breakdown. Looking forward to talking about each of the matchups on this card. So make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on and make sure you share the video too. Also note, I'll be live for the entire card Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Don't miss the fight companion. And let's get into the first fight of the night. The ladies going after it. We got Priscilla Ketchup-beaten Cachoeira versus Klaudia Syguła. I'm feeling the Ketchup-beaten side. I'm going to pick Priscilla Cachoeira to win. Klaudia Syguła doesn't have much skill. I mean, she's okay. She spams a lot of overhands. She's not very athletic. Doesn't have a lot of power. The one positive element of her is she's 10 years younger. And then if you bring a second positive element, is she's at American Top Team. But like, what else really? You know, from her UFC performances, Mullins shows her levels on the ground. And then what? She beats a girl in Oleksiejczuk who's not good. And now she's fighting Cachoeira, who I know's got the 13-7 record and is 2-3 in her last 5. And she got knocked out badly last time by Jocelyn Edwards. But the girls that Cachoeira is losing to are still decent level. Jocelyn Edwards, like I mentioned, top 15. Jazz Davicius, top 7 at flyweight. Maverick, top 15 at flyweight. Obviously, now we're in the bantamweight division. Edwards, top in the bantamweight class. And slept her, bad. Nasty, straight, done. Game, set, match, fight over with the right hand, okay? But Priscilla Cachoeira had never been knocked out prior to that fight. It's not like she's a chinny girl. She's got heavy hands. She rips crazy power shots from her hips. Klaudia Syguła's best bet is to try and wrestle here, but she's not like an incredible grappler. Could she hit a couple of takedowns? I could see it. If they're striking, I think Cachoeira is always live to catch her. I don't know. Syguła just seems like too unathletic. Some women just have the natural athleticism. And then there's another percentage of women that don't have the same fast twitch ability. Syguła's way more slow twitch to me. And I feel like Cachoeira is absolutely the most difficult test of her career, at the very least striking wise. Like Cachoeira has actually knocked women out. You know, nice KO of Ariane Lipski, flatline KO of Josiane Nunes. I'd probably pick Josiane Nunes to beat Klaudia Syguła in a close fight. I think it takes one punch from Cachoeira. She's also training with Amanda Nunes for this fight. She's training with Nina Nunes. She's training with Larissa Pacheco. There's some good opposition in the room for Priscilla Cachoeira. Obviously, same goes for Syguła. But I just think Cachoeira could potentially give us one more. And I don't rate Syguła at all. I don't think she's a prospect heading towards the top 15. We know Cachoeira is not heading towards the top 15, but she has power. She throws chaotic shots and caution to the wind with pressure. Syguła's chin is up high. She doesn't have a lot of head movement. She's kind of a slapping puncher. So without a power threat from Syguła, Cachoeira can walk her down, caution to the wind, and just rip bombs. So Syguła's got to take her down. But does she have the high-level submission threat to get the fight to the ground and then strangle Cachoeira? I guess it could be a lay and pray, but I don't want to bank on a lay and pray. I'm going to go Priscilla Cachoeira to pull off the upset. I think she's live to knock Syguła out. I got doubts about Syguła. Cachoeira plus 118, Syguła minus 138. I got to go with the Ketchup-beaten side. It's women's MMA. It's women's MMA, man. And it's first fight of the night, UFC Apex Women's MMA. So you can get your coin and flip it. My coin feels better on the Priscilla Cachoeira side to land something big than it does to Syguła submit her or Syguła knock her out for sure, or Syguła even sub her. So I would rather go with Cachoeira, who at the very least I'm confident in is going to throw big bombs with bad intentions. Syguła's slappy with shots. It's awkward. It's like, not like Syguła has shown me a nice stiff jab and a good straight and body teeps. Like she's just spamming like jab overhand. And she's like out of position, flailing her arms around. How can I pick that? I won't. Priscilla Cachoeira by knockout. She's going to upset her. And the zombie girl is going to get back on track, knocking out a 27-year-old overrated prospect. Next fight, Muin Gafurov versus Jakub Wikłacz. I'm going to go with the Wikłacz side and have faith in the potential. Against Patchy Mix, he won a decision, but honestly, Patchy could have got that. And I get it. Right now is like, the rain on Patchy's parade type of time in the MMA community. He's out of the UFC. He's the biggest bust in UFC history, maybe. At the end of it all, though, still a high-level wrestler, still a guy with good top control, still a former Bellator champion. Wikłacz got that decision and had moments in the fight. He's a really good submission grappler. Muin Gafurov is, I would say, a decent wrestler, a decent kickboxer. Submission grappling is Wikłacz. So there's one element of the fight that I strongly favor Wikłacz, and that's the actual threat of winning by a submission. On the other side of Gafurov, I think he's the better striker. I think Wikłacz a little wild in striking, a little awkward. I'd argue even a little stiff and hittable. We've seen him rocked outside of the UFC. Gafurov, not the biggest puncher, but like he could land some shots on the feet for sure. He did beat Rinya Nakamura. It was a year ago. I know people, are kind of high off that, I feel like, because Nakamura is a good wrestler and Gafurov shut it down. But Nakamura doesn't have much of a submission game, and he doesn't have on the mat threats outside of ground and pound, really. And I think Wikłacz does. So I'm going to pose this question to you guys. You guys can ask yourself this if you're looking to make a prediction and maybe you're not, lining up 100% with me. If I told you Jacob Wikłacz can take Gafurov down at least 3 times in this fight, do you or do you not believe he can have success from top position, whether positional dominance and control, some ground and pound, or actually ending the fight with a submission? Because I think Wikłacz has the better wrestling offensively, potentially here, obviously remains to be seen. If he's able to hit takedowns, I think he can win this fight. Now, if Gafurov is stopping his takedowns, Wikłacz is then going to have to kind of rely on something crazy like jumping to his back, pulling guard, a flying triangle, or knocking Gafurov down, or jumping gilly, something of that magnitude, a mistake from Gafurov. Not saying it's impossible. It is possible. It's enough so where I'm like favoring Wikłacz chance to show out. Gafurov, I think he's a little faster on the feet. I think he's more controlled with his striking. Got a bit of power, like I said, and he's got some wrestling, but he's been in bad spots on the map before. It's not like Gafurov is just monster on top. We've never seen him in weird spots. We never seen him lose. I think if Wikłacz takedowns are on point, Gafurov might be toast when it hits the mat. And I think Wikłacz is live for a submission too. So I'm going to go with Jacob Wikłacz from Poland to go out and get a win. I have a feeling that he'll look better than the Patchy Mix fight, and the jiu-jitsu game will really be on display if he can find some takedowns here. And I'm excited to see if he can. Odds are even, essentially. Wikłacz is a slight dog, -103. I'm going back-to-back underdogs to start this card off. I'm not chasing the odds. I just think Wikłacz has a chance to win by submission, and I trust in that. -117, Gafurov. I'm going to say Wikłacz. Live to find the sub. I'm not crazy about it. The under rounds for, let's see, it's under 2.5 is +145. It could be more positional dominance from Wikłacz, but recognize this guy does have 10 wins by sub. And we saw Gafurov strangled by Said Nurmagomedov, that ninja choke. Wikłacz got some long, skinny arms too. And if Gafurov does start shooting some takedowns with confidence, I can see Wikłacz catching a neck and getting a tap. So I'm going to go the submission side of Wikłacz. I'm going to have some faith in the Polish prospect to show out in this. When he was coming into that Patchy Mix fight, expected to lose, but with hype, goes out and wins. And now he takes on Muin Gafurov in more of a 50-50 feeling situation, but a fight that he actually could end up looking really good in if he's able to hit the takedowns and be the better wrestler. And I'm going to have a feeling that he is. So Wikłacz to pull it off against Gafurov. Next up, we got Cong Wang versus Eduarda Moura. Listen, it's Wang gang. That's how it's got to be. She lost one fight, but she's turned up since then. All right, she deserves some respect. Dominated Bruna Brazil, dominated Ariane Lipski. Listen, Cong Wang's a hell of a striker, but you know who knocked Ariane Lipski out? Priscilla Cachoeira. So if we're talking about Cachoeira, she deserves some respect. Cong Wang's a slick stand-up fighter, precise kickboxer. My God, she's fast. Slick to the body from the outside, mixes up to the head, moves with a good rhythm. The rhythm almost reminds me of Piotr Jan a little bit as a female. Eduarda Moura is okay on the feet. She's got decent takedowns. She's a grappler. Trains with Jailton Almeida, which, the Jailton Almeida influence normally equals no ground and pound. But She's known for grappling. Is she going to walk down Kong Wang, take her to the ground, and maul her, dominate position? I mean, she was in a fairly competitive fight with Lauren Murphy, right? Beat Veronica Hardy, okay. Denise Gomes got a competitive decision over her, and that was at 115. I think that the hips of Wang are going to be good. Hips of Wang are going to be good. It's too funny. Wang's hips are good, all right? She can thrust into those takedowns, no problem. Listen, she's going to be stopping the takedowns. She's going to be out striking Eduarda Moura. I think she can tune her up in the stand-up department. I do think Moura is going to be shooting. I'm not saying there's 0% chance she gets one, but I feel like Wang's going to have some on-point takedown defense and way better striking. I think she can get to Moura. She's going to look faster on the feet. She should be able to do more damage, but I don't know if I'm going to go as far as to say she knocks her out. Kong Wang's been decision happy. She didn't knock out Bruna Brazil. She didn't knock out Ariane Lipski. You know, the Victoria Leonardo knockout, bro, it's Victoria Leonardo, you know? That level, you should be winning by knockout. I think Kong Wang, fight smart, fends off the takedowns, looks good in striking, absolutely outstrikes Eduarda Moura. Moura, she's not bankrupt on the feet. She tries to box a bit. She's just like, you know, not high level. She's not as bad as some at striking, but she's definitely like, if we have the division as a whole, we have the really good strikers here, we have the middle ground, and we have the bad strikers. I feel like she teeters towards, like, if this is right in the middle, she's like right here, a little below middle ground, but like average striking. Whereas like Wang is towards the very good side. And she seems to be well-rounded as well. So I'm going to think she does some real damage, lighting her up on the feet, ripping that calf nicely, popping some nice punches up high. And I think we see Wang show out. So Wang to win. I'm feeling good about it. Minus 350. So are the books. So are the books. Really wide favorite. Plus 285 for Eduarda Moura. Yeah, I don't think Wang's getting dominated on the ground. If you're like, oh, well, listen, but what about Gabby Fernandez? Yeah, Fernandez is able to land a beautiful shot, okay, on Kong Wang, put her down, and then strangle her, club and sub her. That's not going to happen here. Eduarda Moura ain't landing shit on the feet. Over 2.5, minus 175, probably. So Kong Wang to win, showing out in the stand-up department. Wang Gang gets another W in the hat, and en route to maybe getting a big fight against an actual, like, solid contender after this one. I'd like to see her tested after she goes out and most likely handles business against Eduarda Moura here. Next fight on the card, Said Nurmagomedov versus Javid Basharat. Oof. Both guys slumping, okay? 2 losses in a row for both. I think Javid Basharat's striking is sharper, and I feel like he's still got potential. I'm not writing him off yet. I went back and I watched him versus Amin Zahabi, and I'm like, dude, that fight was close. You know, he made it really competitive. And Amin Zahabi's a top-ranked contender now. And then obviously, I know, Ricky Simone did bad things to him. But, all hope is not lost because Ricky Simone does bad things to you. Ricky Simone knocks you out. Fair. And it's not a common result for Ricky Simone to flatline people. But I don't think it's over for Basharat. He did the right thing. He said, okay, I need to relax a little bit. Takes about a year off, right? Train that American top team. I'm sure he's getting better. His brother's also fighting on this card. His striking is better. His straights down the center, punches, and with his legs better. Body kicks better. I think that Said, with a little bit more of that square, upright striking style, though technical, a little bit more flawed in the defensive manner, that I think we'll see Javid get some good strikes off here. Said's probably better on the ground, but I'm not highly confident Said's hitting the takedowns. He's really good with single leg takedowns. Like Said, he's good at grabbing those singles, and I feel like Javid's going to be fighting those singles off pretty well. I don't know. I think Javid's all right. I think he's going to stop the takedowns. I think he'll land some better shots. Not that Said couldn't get him down. Not that he couldn't have a moment on top. Not that he couldn't win some of the striking exchanges. You have to constantly be wary of the ninja choke, the gilly with, you know, a little twist. That ninja choke from Said Nurmagomedov is incredibly high level. And if Javid gets reckless and tries to wrestle, listen, we saw Bryce Mitchell caught in a nasty ninja choke by Said. He's able to put people in bad positions. I mean, he had good control on the ground against Jonathan Martinez in a fight that he lost. So there's respect to be had on Said Nurmagomedov. He is a difficult fight for Javid Basharat, but I just feel like Javid should get back on track in this one. A little bit younger, right? 3.5 years younger. Brother's a contender on the rise. He lost 2 in a row, but I feel as though this matchup, Javid can get back on rhythm. And I think that his ground defensive abilities are sound enough to deal with Said Nurmagomedov, and his striking offense is very good. And I think effective stand up is what I expect most from Javid Basharat. I'm going to say that he wins it with the technical stand up, with the better offensive attack and the better defense. I think Said, simply put, is just hit more than he hits. And I feel like body work from Basharat could be good. And I also will say, Said Nurmagomedov, round 3 tends to be sucking wind. If Javid can push a pace in round 3 and really go after it, even if it's 1-1 going into the third, I'm going to favor that Javid Basharat's gas tank a little better. And I'm going to say he goes out and he wins a hard-fought decision against a very good fighter in Said Nurmagomedov. There's no walk in the park. It's tough. 2 losses in a row. Then it's like, hey, man, we're going to give you Said, who's also lost 2 in a row. Both guys with their backs against the wall. But I would argue to you this. I think more of a back against the wall for Basharat. Why? Because 3 losses in a row, you go from prospect on the rise to now it's like, oh, he's a bust. Like, you can send them out. Potentially on the chopping block. Whereas Said, longtime UFC fighter, we know he's not going to be in the top 15. Not saying Javid is either, but there's still like that small bit of what if, the ceiling could potentially be high still. We'll find out. I'm going to say that the slight favorite, Basharat at -115, wins a competitive decision over the -105, Said Nurmagomedov. Fight to go over 2.5 rounds at -290. It makes a lot of sense to me. I think versatile strike and attack, good distance management, because that's what Javid's very good at, distance striking. I think he's going to be sharp on the feet, and I think he'll deal with Said Nurmagomedov. I'm going to say he gets back on track here with a win. So, Basharat, decision. Next fight on the card, Bruna Brasil versus Ketlen Souza, another ladies fight. I feel torn here, but I'm going to go with Ketlen Souza. I was kind of thinking, well, Bruna Brasil from distance is sharp. And she's finding good shots on, the doctor last fight, Ming Chi. Survives against Cong Wang, and I'm thinking, Bruna Brasil's, a fast karate-esque style stand-up fighter who times shots pretty nicely, has a bit of wrestling. But then I'm reminding myself, I'm like, wait a second. Bruna Brasil, you just beat Ming Chi. Ketlen Souza is still a gangster. Ketlen Souza is a girl that I've believed in a lot, and obviously the past 2 have fallen apart. Whereas I've doubted Bruna Brasil often. And I've been right often. I feel as though Ketlen Souza from close range could land some big shots. If she can turn it into more of a brawl, she can shine. Where Bruna Brasil is going to absolutely thrive here is in a point fight. Technical point fighting from range, picking her shots. She could land some nice body kicks, some nice jabs from the outside into good straights, into some knees to the body and close, and maybe even trying to hit a throw on Ketlen Souza. Ketlen Souza is more of like that heavy Brazilian Thai style, sit in the pocket, rip big shots. Her recent losses are against a very good wrestling skill set and well-rounded Pierre Rodriguez and Angela Hill, who's, a legend of women's MMA. And then I look at Bruna Brasil. I'm like, okay, lost to Cong Wang, lost to Lomuluk Bume. And then wins against Molly Meatball, Shauna Bannon, Ming Chi wins here against Horiguchi and Marnik Man. Both actually beat Marnik Man. Bruna Brasil knocked her out in Contender Series. The Horiguchi finish was nice. It's just, Ketlen Souza is still the wild card to me. I'm not ready to counter out of this fight. I think that Bruna Brasil could get hurt in the pocket. I think Ketlen Souza is the heavier-handed woman. I think if there's a chance of knockout, it favors Ketlen Souza. Like, I don't see a switch high kick from Bruna Brasil knocking Ketlen Souza out, but I could see Ketlen Souza sitting on a big hook, catching Bruna Brasil, dropping her, then getting on top and landing some big ground and pound. And who's to say that Ketlen Souza doesn't hit a takedown here? I don't think Bruna Brasil has strong enough evidence to say she's the vastly better grappler between these two. I'm going to say Ketlen Souza can show out this time. I'm going to say she gets back on track. Coming in on the 2-fight losing streak, but it was, a level jump in opposition. Now it's back down to what feels like the ultimate proving ground type of thing. That's like where this level of fight is. I'm going to say that Ketlen Souza can do more damage land bigger punches. I like her forward pressure. I like her toughness. I like her brawling style. The close range attack favors her a lot. And if Bruna Brazil cannot keep Souza at bay, I'm not overconfident she can hit takedowns in close range. And then if they're in the pocket, I favor Souza to land the bigger and better shots. So I will go towards Ketlen Souza, not like lock of the century. And looking at the odds, Ketlen Souza opened at -150, flipped to an underdog, now is back to a -160 tag. Bruno Brazil +140 as an underdog. I think it's competitive. Like I was thinking earlier, I'm like, I see a pathway for Bruno Brazil though. There's a pathway for both girls. It's difficult to call. I know for a fact Ketlen Souza has that dog grit in her. What cost her against Pierre Rodriguez last time is, she forgot how to wrestle. But Piera is a way better offensive wrestling threat than Bruno Brazil. I think Ketlen Souza can win this one. -350 for an over. I feel like it's live. But yeah, I don't know. Kind of more on the side of like just a straight pick. Not feeling like, yo, go out and chase Ketlen Souza. No, I don't feel like that's a great idea. I think she could definitely win. But, if Bruna Brazil fights really smart, keeps a lot of movement, picks her shots from distance, forces Souza to chase, and then Souza obviously giving up some reach and height here, she could end up getting technically out kickboxed. But I don't know. I just don't think Souza's going to allow it. She's going to say, fuck it, I'm walking you down. Like, there's not enough of a damage threat from Bruna Brazil to keep Souza off of her. And for that reason, I'm going to favor Souza to outwork her here. And I'm going to pick her. Next fight on the card, it is the featured prelim of the night. They got Alex Morono versus Danil Donchenko going after it. Danil Donchenko is hype. Won the Ultimate Fighter. You got to love this kid. Yes, I am picking the 24-year-old prospect who absolutely seems like a problem. He's a Muay Thai-based striker with dangerous punching power, with dangerous knees and elbows in close range, good takedown defense, and I think just a God-given gift of timing, power, and precision. Alex Morono, he's an OG of the weight class, and he's a bouncy striker. He rips the wild overhands. He's got some good submissions. He's decent. He's got good teeps to the body, stays moving well, light on his feet. Really got fucked up bad against Carlos Leal last time. And I hate to say it, but Alex Morono's looking washed, man. And if you look at, like, even the recent win, he beat Court McGee. Before that, it was Tim Means. The only guys he's beating are, like, 40 and up. He's fighting a 24-year-old prospect whose middle name is Violence. Danil Donchenko should land some big shots on Alex Morono. He should back Morono up, should be able to rip shots in the clinch, elbows for sure. I expect Donchenko to go for. He seems like a very blue chip prospect. 4.5 months ago, how much better has he gotten in 4.5 months? He's 24, dude. He's 24 years of age. Donchenko is a striking problem right now and absolutely one of the best prospects in the UFC welterweight division. Really young, 12-2 though. It's not like he's inexperienced. 15th pro fight, and he's got 2 fights, on the exhibition circuit through the Ultimate Fighter. So Donchenko, he looks seasoned for a prospect is really what I'm saying. And I think he's fighting a guy in Alex Morono that's going to be past his finest hour at 35. And I think that Danil Donchenko should probably knock him out in the first round. I think Donchenko by KO makes a lot of sense to me. I know, oh, well, what about the D-Rod fight? I don't know how D-Rod beat Kevin. D-Rod's just, I don't know. It doesn't make it. Split decision with Morono. Nico Price beating Morono. Donchenko's different. Donchenko's going to find the openings, and I think Morono's vulnerable to some big power strikes, and I think Danil Donchenko is going to absolutely mollywop Alex Morono here with destructive striking. Find those openings because Morono kind of flails the elbows. I feel like Donchenko could even rip the body a little bit here. And it's not like Morono's that heavy of a puncher. I think Donchenko's walking him down with confidence. Not a big grappling threat from Morono, really. He's not a good offensive wrestler. He's got some jiu-jitsu, but how's he going to get it there? I think Donchenko is going to walk him down with power shots, open him up, bust him up, and finish him round 1. -550 for Donchenko, Morono at +420. This is an Ultimate Fighter winner to be excited about. That's how I feel about Danilo Donchenko. Over 1.5 is +110. I'm not feeling great about survival for Alex Morono. I do think the under 2.5 makes a lot of sense. And then what's the KO for Donchenko? -133 range. I think Donchenko by KO. It makes the most sense. If I had to give you a precise prediction of when, I think within the first 2 rounds by KO is like the safer side. But I think Donchenko really is live to win this fight in the first 5 minutes. And I think that Alex Morono is going to get lit up like a fucking Christmas tree by the level of stand-up and the weapons that Donchenko has. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Fiziev, but with nastier elbows, and he's bigger, and he's 24. Who knows where the ceiling lies, but I think definitely surpassing an Alex Morono seems like a certainty here for Danil Donchenko, and I'll pick him to win with high confidence. Next fight on the card brings us to our main card opener. Make sure you guys hit that like button. First time on the channel, make sure you subscribe. Also hype the video too. We got Dustin Jacoby versus Julius Walker, and I just have a really bad feeling about this fight. Dustin Jacoby is over at Factory X Muay Thai, right? Factory X Muay Thai had the Bulgarian situation, right? Weird betting scandal thing going on. Obviously, they've disconnected from the gym. No, we're not a part of it with him anymore. They had the Hernandez situation recently where a ton of money is going on the other side. Cody Brundage last week, who's posting pics for UFC Australia before the event, as is Dustin Jacoby. I don't know, man. It's just, I'm sus on Factory X right now. Not Yusuf Zalal and not their higher level guys, but they've been slumping a little bit with Brandon Royval also getting badly chinned. I don't know. He might have, didn't he separate from them if I'm not mistaken? He might have. Regardless, why am I not picking Dustin Jacoby? Because I'm worried about the wrestling of Julius Walker. I know the Cachoeira fight. I know. I understand. But Cachoeira, and it was a bit of a shit show. He won by dominant decision, but it was not a performance that blows the roof off the place at that UFC Vegas card. Fight before, he went tooth and nail to a split decision with Alonzo Menafield. He's 26, and he's going to be shooting constantly, clinching constantly. If you look at Dustin Jacoby's UFC career, you see a lack of offensive grapplers, okay? Name me the best grappler. Oh, Vitor Petrino, but he's really a striker. Who's the grappler? Who's the grappler? Ion Kutelabu, who landed 9 takedowns, goes to a draw with him. Really, it's mostly strikers for the former pro kickboxer. Losses to guys like John Salter and King Mo. Good grapplers. I feel like Julius Walker could really give Dustin Jacoby pause in the clinch, wearing on him, pressing him, frustrating him, getting him to the ground, getting on top of him. If he's able to get on top, I think positional control is live here. Yes, Dustin Jacoby is live to knock Julius Walker out. He has a bit of a suspect chin, but I don't know. There's bad juju right now with the gym, and I just have this weird feeling, God whispering in my ear, Julius Walker can get this fight to the ground and potentially lay and pray, or maybe even somehow pulls off a submission. He's 26. That debut against Alonzo Menafield, making it a split decision and getting to him, closing the gap, tying up with them, absorbing big shots, rolling with some shots. Does it not supersede? Yes, a bit of a lackluster second fight. Yes, I think it does, man. Alonzo Menafield beat Dustin Jacoby too by a decision, and he dropped him in that fight. And if you look, like Dustin Jacoby's wins, glass jaw striker, Bruno Lopez, and Vitor Petrino, who's a beast, yes, but at heavyweight now, undisciplined beast, and it was a perfect punch from Jacoby. Whereas Julius Walker's a whole different style. It's just like upright stand-up into forward pressure and clinch smothering. I just feel like Dustin Jacoby could struggle with how much of a focus to clinch, takedown, and control style Julius Walker brings to the table. Enough so where I just don't feel right about picking him. And especially, he's a big favorite here. So, like, on the betting side of things, I don't know. At minus 205, not saying go out and bet Julius Walker. You can. I'm picking him to win. He's live. Dustin Jacoby could knock him out, sure. But I don't know. Julius Walker's never been finished. Well, he's been rocked. Yeah, but he's always recovered, though. Yeah, Myron Dennis caught him in the first 10 seconds with a right hand there fight. Yeah, but then you recovered and finished him in the first round. Like, he's never been knocked out before. It's not like, there's evidence of him getting KO'd. He's been hurt, and his recovery's good. And he gets hit, yeah, sure, with clean shots. It's a fight, man. And then he overcomes the adversity, gets back on business, right? And lands the takedowns. Gets to the clinch and controls. I don't know about Dustin Jacoby stopping the spam takedown game of Julius Walker. And Walker, I'll give some credit where it's due. He seems to have good cardio. He has an annoying style for a striker like Dustin Jacoby. And I could see Walker frustrating him. 11 years, his senior man. I'm going to go with plus 175 Julius Walker to win. But not because he's a dog. Because I just got weird feelings around the Dustin Jacoby side. Something doesn't feel right. The Walker style, being a wrestling heavy fighter. It just, I don't know. Something says to me, weird fight, frustrating upset, landing a lot of clinch attempts and control and potentially some takedowns. I don't know. The Walker KO. What do you want? Jacoby KO? What's that line? Plus 233 for Jacoby KO. I mean, yeah, sure, he's live for the knockout. Walker's yet to be KO'd. I feel like he can go the distance, over 2.5 plus 109. But money line on Walker. If you think he can get to the body lock, then you have to say he's live to get to the takedown. I would argue that Alonzo Menafield in close range from a defensive standpoint in wrestling is better than Dustin Jacoby. Of course, spamming takedowns from long distance, no, Julius Walker's not going to get him down with that. But if he can close that gap on the striker and doesn't just get backed up, if he is the one backing Dustin Jacoby up, he can get to that body lock. And I think that's where things get real difficult for Jacoby. And I'm going to say that Julius Walker finds a way to pull off a pretty big upset here in his third UFC fight. He's getting a big opportunity against a longtime vet, a striker, though, and a striker that mostly just fights other strikers. And let's see how he fares with another grappler. I'm going to favor the grappler again against Dustin Jacoby. I'm going Julius Walker for the upset. Ground and pound and submission are live, but he might just blanket him. Next fight on the card, we got Gene Matsumoto versus Farid Basharat. Give me Basharat. I'm going both Basharats on this card. I think that Farid Basharat is going to be the technically sharper kickboxer, whereas Matsumoto has more of that heavy, tight Brazilian Thai style where he's going to look for like explosive punching blitzes from the outside, right? He's going to throw some heavy kicks to the body, but like a lot of his shots, he's putting a lot of weight into, but they're slower. And then if anything, they're blitzes, whereas like Basharat can like pick them off with crisp strikes, with good jabs, right? With good jab crosses, with good teeps to the body, staying moving. Even the underrated wrestling, we could see Basharat mix in some takedowns here, potentially put Gene Matsumoto on his back and control from top position. I like the distance management of Farid Basharat a lot, and the fact that Matsumoto is going to be giving up a fair amount of reach, 3.5 inches. He's going to be having to chase a little bit. I think Basharat's going to be a little too light on his feet, a little too quick on his feet, and I think Basharat is going to get the better of Matsumoto in this one. And I feel like Matsumoto is going to be caught chasing a little bit, trying to get wild with some big punches, trying to get this fight to the ground, and I think failing some takedowns. His fight last time against Miles Johns essentially could have went either way. Fight before that, you can kind of say the same thing with a washed Rob Font. But I think Farid Basharat is ready to prove his worth. And this is kind of the fight to do it against another prospect, against a Brazilian Muay Thai striker, which I favor fluid kickboxing with high-level footwork over the very heavy-footed power Muay Thai style. I think that we're going to see Basharat land more effective strikes down the center. The straight shots get there first, whether it's with the punches or with the kicks. And I think Matsumoto is going to be caught chasing a little bit. And I think Basharat could potentially also mix in some takedowns here. And I think that Farid Basharat shuts Gene Matsumoto down. And I think he pulls off a unanimous decision win per usual with Farid Basharat. Looking at the odds, minus 275. The Farid Basharat favorite status to Matsumoto, plus 235 as the underdog. I think minus 275 is a little wider than I would have liked. Opened up at minus 400. So there's been some love on Gene Matsumoto. I get why. He's a dog. He's got a lot of grit. He's tough. He's going to come forward. He's not going to give up. But I just think he's kind of the bull to the matador, but I just don't believe the bull is getting to him. And I think Basharat is going to land effective strikes from the mid and long range. He's going to mix in takedowns when need be and win more minutes of the fight and technically outpoint Gene Matsumoto. That is the clear path to victory for Basharat, and I think it's going to work here. Minus 300 for over 2.5 rounds. I think Farid looks good. He looked pretty good in the first two against Chris Gutierrez. I think here, hopefully, looks better in round 3. That's kind of what I want to see from him, is to be able to keep up a better 3-round pace. And I don't know. Against Gutierrez round 3, he looked a little shaky, but round 1 and 2, he looked like a bad motherfucker. So I definitely think at the very least he wins the first and second, but I think Farad Basharat's live to 30-27, Gene Matsumoto here, and I'm going to favor Basharat. He's got a nice streak going for himself, and I think he keeps it going. We're going with him to win. Next fight on the card, Mikhail Oleksiejczuk versus Marc-Andre Barriault. The battle of journeymen in the middleweight division who like to brawl. I couldn't ask for a better Apex fight on the main card, actually. This is like solid back and forth type of fight that a knockout seems like option A. I'm going with Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. Marc-Andre Barriault's chin is a little shaky. Little shaky, man. Now, Barriault's style is very much heavy boxing pressure, closing the gap, looking to throw big punches. He does have some good overhands. He's got a bit of power. He makes it a brawl in close range. He rips the body pretty well, and he's got, I'd say, solid cardio. On the other side, Mikhail Oleksiejczuk is the cleaner boxer, though. He can brawl too, but he's also just better with technical boxing, and he's got faster hands. And Oleksiejczuk also, I'd say, is underrated in the element of defensive stand-up. I think little cleaner with defense. Like Marc-Andre Barriault is kind of the style where like he's coming forward, he's throwing the reckless abandon as he backs you up towards the cage, and he's going to just whip some big power strikes. Whereas Oleksiejczuk, a little more of like a check hook that lands, right? He makes his reads a little bit better, whereas Barriault looks to force the issue. So really where I'm going with it is I think Barriault could potentially look to force the issue here with Oleksiejczuk, get over aggressive, load up on shots. And I think Oleksiejczuk could find the Sweet Home Alabama counter shot and put Marc-Andre Barriault flat out with a power hook, with a bomb over the top. I like Oleksiejczuk's precision more. And I'll say this too, I wouldn't be surprised if Barriault looks to grapple, but we've seen Oleksiejczuk, I think, look a little better defensively at grappling. I think training with the Fighting Nerds has helped him a bit. I know they're not necessarily a high-level wrestling team for the lower weight classes, but in the middleweight division with Kyle Bahayo there, I think it's good work. And I think that we see Oleksiejczuk land some better combinations, land some more impactful shots on Marc-Andre Barriault. And in a fight that I think could be pretty back and forth, I'm going to favor Oleksiejczuk's durability and punch power over the pressure brawling style with a suspect chin on Barriault's side. He's not that far removed from knockout losses. Stoltzfus knocked him out a year and 2 months ago pretty bad, and Joe Pyfer a year and 7 months ago. And then he beat Bruno Silva, who's a corpse of himself, and then he lost to Shara Magomedov. To be fair, though, he busted Shara up a bit, but also Shara Bullet's overrated. Both these guys got decision losses to Shara Bullet, the most overrated guy, honestly. He's fun to watch, but so overrated. But, you know, it's a different conversation. I'm going to say Oleksiejczuk makes it 3 in a row. I feel like good that we got striker versus striker here, though. And I think likelihood of entertainment is also very high here. Also, it's crazy, right? Oleksiejczuk been in the roster forever, but 5 years younger. I feel like Oleksiejczuk's still in his prime, where Barriault is like a, you know, he's ticking off the last year or two of his fighting career, where Oleksiejczuk, say what you want. I mean, he seems to have a lot of time left, and I don't think he's slowing down. If anything, I think he's gotten better over the past year and a half. Odds for the fight, Oleksiejczuk, he's a wide favorite. My God. They're giving Barriault 0 chance. Minus 330 for Oleksiejczuk with Marc-Andre Barriault as a plus 270 underdog. That's wide for a reason, because Oleksiejczuk's a precise puncher, and he's going to probably find the target. Over 1.5, plus 110, under. I don't care about the over-under. I think Oleksiejczuk by knockout makes sense to me. I think Barriault and Oleksiejczuk will engage in a pretty back-and-forth striking fight. I think you'll notice that Oleksiejczuk is more precise and gets to the target quicker. I think Barriault will get rocked with something, and I'm going to favor the side of Oleksiejczuk to shut the lights off and get a 3-fight winning streak. Oleksiejczuk low-key making waves in the middleweight division if he goes out and knocks Andre Barriault senseless, which I think he's going to do. I do. Now, granted, both of these guys, recent wins are not high level. Dumas win for Oleksiejczuk, and then after that, a wash GM3 win. And then for Barriault, the recent win is the wash Bruno Silva win. So, you know, not spectacular on either side, but I'd argue Oleksiejczuk's recent resume more impressive with the wins and, you know, normally durable. I mean, you look at his fighting career. Look at Mikhail Oleksiejczuk's fighting career. Yes, quickly submitted by Michel Pereira and Kevin Holland, but he hasn't really got tuned up. I mean, what? Dustin Jacoby beats him by a competitive decision in striking in just a striking fight? Submission's the weakness, man. He hasn't been knocked out since he was a kid. In 2014, he got knocked out. Long time ago, 12 years ago, bro. He was like 19. So give me Oleksiejczuk. I think he's going to win by knockout. Next fight on the card, we got Jailton Almeida, the heavyweight blanket, versus Rizvan Kuniev, Dagestan's hope for a heavyweight title challenger. Short notice fill-in. Jailton Almeida is replacing Ryan Spann. So competition level jump for Kuniev from, planning for Spann, who's more towards the mid-tier of heavyweight, to now fighting a top guy in Jailton. I'm going to go with Rizvan Kuniev. I thought he should have beat Curtis Blades. And granted, I thought Jailton should have beat Volkov. And I have Volkov as my underdog lock. I got gifted that one. I was thankful. But like all Jailton likes to do is take down control. Like if he can get to a dominant position and sub you, great and all. But like he might just sit on you. Problem is, Rizvan Kuniev is a pretty good defensive grappler. Rizvan is not an easy guy to take down and control. We saw Curtis trying 2 takedowns technically, but nothing was done. Then you can argue, oh, well, Jailton took Curtis Blades down 9 times and did nothing with it. I'm not saying that Jailton doesn't get, body lock back control on the cage and press him up against the side and trip him in the first round. But what I'm saying is, if Kuniev can survive Jailton Almeida's early smother grappling onslaught, and then they start to get the striking, he can fight the hands, he can create some space, I feel like Rizvan Kuniev could absolutely catch Jailton Almeida with some good punches. I don't believe in Jailton's durability, man. I really think he has a suspect chin, okay? And looking at the weird shot that landed for Curtis Blades that put him away, look at early in his career, he was knocked out in 12 seconds. I feel like Jailton Almeida's chin, he's like looking up after getting finished by Curtis Blades. What the hell happened? And now I got Chad Rizvan Kuniev, who actually looks in better shape. If you've seen his Instagram, dude looks ready for this fucking fight. I'm going Alpha Kuniev to box Jailton Almeida up. And I think he's live to make him quit. I feel like Jailton Almeida early in the fight is going to look to spam the clinch, spam the takedowns. But Rizvan has the takedown defense, man. He's a Dagestani fighter. He's trained with American Top Team, with, Magomed Ankalaev. Like, there's good level of sparring partners that he works with. I feel like Jailton's not just going to be able to climb his back and sub him. Kuniev's a good wrestler. So Kuniev getting backed up a little bit early in the fight, it starts wearing Jailton's arms out as Kuniev is fighting the position. And then if Kuniev can get some combos off, I don't think Jailton can eat shots like Curtis Blades can. And Kuniev was getting to the target consistently, boxing Curtis Blades up. I don't know about those fight stats. If you just look at stats, you're thinking something different. Go watch the fight. Kuniev had Curtis Blades leaking blood, was showing him levels. I thought Kuniev got the decision, and I had picked Kuniev to win that fight. Obviously, I was disappointed the split decision went against me. I thought it was a robbery. So now Jailton here, what is he to do? Just smother for 3 rounds and blanket Kuniev? He's going to just land takedowns consistently and lay on him? That's what Kuniev's not going to fight it off? I think Kuniev is going to fight those hands. He's going to fight the position, and he's going to get some boxing going. And you are going to see how flawed Jailton Almeida is in the striking arsenal. Defensively, he's bankrupt. He's quick. He's athletic. But as he throws, he's like slapping his shots. Yeah, they hit hard because he's a big, strong dude. But I think Kuniev is way more technical than him. And if he's in better shape this time, I could also see Kuniev looking faster than ever. He wants that get back. He was calling Curtis Blades out for a rematch after their fight. I think Rizvan Kuniev is going to make it look, I don't want to say easy. I think he's going to have to deal with some adversity from Jailton, but I think you guys are going to see that Rizvan's pretty good. And I think Jailton Almeida is going to end up looking up at the lights at the end of this. I'm going to go Rizvan Kuniev to knock him out. I think his boxing is better. I think Jailton's chin is suspect, and I think Kuniev can fend off the spam grappling. Jailton Almeida does not do damage. He will get to dominant position and just sit on you. He will just positional control and do nothing with it. How can I go out and pick a confident Jailton side if I don't feel good about him winning by ground and pound or submission? So he's going to blanket Rizvan Kuniev for 3 rounds, who's got a strong wrestling defensive game and has power in both hands and can box for sure. And a ton of MMA experience. Not just pro, a ton of amateur MMA experience too. I think Rizvan Kuniev is good. And at plus 120, I'm going underdog. I'm going Rizvan. Jailton stepping in on short notice too. I think he's overlooking Rizvan. Minus 140 for the side of Jailton. Both guys have L's to Curtis Blades, but very different. Jailton was put out with a light punch and then some elbows, some hammer fist against the cage, whereas Rizvan Kuniev boxed him up and had Curtis Blades leaking blood. I'm going Rizvan. Kuniev by KO makes sense to me. What's that? Plus 133? I don't know if that's true. We'll see. We'll see as the fight gets closer when all the props start to drop from more proper spots. But I do think Rizvan is really live to catch Jailton Almeida with some good punches. And I'm going to say Rizvan Kuniev also, too. You have to recognize he's 6'4". He's not a little heavyweight. He's a big boy. And I feel like him stopping the takedowns, getting some punches going, big dude, too, should outweigh Jailton. Even if Rizvan's leaner, he should come in at least 250, 255. Should have a nice little weight advantage. And I think the takedown defense holds up and the power edge on the feet shows itself. And the slicker boxing, because that's the truth of it. Kuniev actually can string punch combos together, and he's like a poised boxer. Whereas Jailton is more wild shit. Like, yeah, he knocked out Spivak with some wild punches, but it's Sergey Spivak, though. It's not Rizvan Kuniev. Kuniev went tooth and nail with Curtis Blades, and I thought that he should have got that decision. And I'm going to say he gets on track here and gets a big upset. Even though, odds-wise, it's not a crazy upset because he's plus 120, only 24% of Tapology are picking the side of Kuniev. I am going to pick Kuniev to go out and win this fight. Next fight is the co-main event of the evening. Amir Albazi versus Kyoji Horiguchi. I think Kyoji Horiguchi's a lock. I think Kyoji Horiguchi is so much faster on the feet, so much more precise with his striking. Light-footed, karate-style striking with good punch combinations, nasty kicks, nasty knees, a very vicious leg kick attack. And he's got a really good ground game. Kyoji Horiguchi is good in all areas. And I would say he's a Japanese MMA legend. And he's on the cusp of a title shot. Albazi on the other side, he got the controversial decision win over Kai Kara-France. And then, he had a long layoff, almost a year and a half, got tuned up for 5 rounds by Brandon Moreno. And now after a year and 2 months, he's back. Let's not forget, Amir Albazi was supposed to fight Tyra in August, pulled out on very short notice, right? Then Park stepped in to fight Tyra. Why'd he pull out? The neck injury. He has had serious neck injuries throughout his career that have caused an absence. I mean, if you look, Kai Kara-France fight 2 years, 7 months ago. Then a year and 5 months later fights Moreno. Now a year and 2 months off. Another long layoff for Amir Albazi. The neck injury alone is worrisome, right? But just what you see, even the best version of Albazi, he's a good body lock control wrestler. He's strong from top position. He's got pretty good back control. He's a position winner, and he threatens with some ground and pound and some submissions. But outside of the Kai Kara-France fight, which was a controversial decision, which he should not have won, his biggest win in the UFC is what? What is it? 5 years ago against Zumagulov? It's not Francisco Figueiredo. Is it the Alessandro Costa win? What does that mean? 3 years ago. So, okay, he went distance with Moreno, so we're going to give him feathers in the cap for that? I can't. Horiguchi is coming off of a breakout performance just 2 months ago where he destroyed the Dagestani Habib prospect in Tagiru Lambekov. Showed him levels, and he choked him out. I think Kyoji Horiguchi is going to look good here. I don't know with Amir Albazi, with that neck injury, how is he going to look upon return? I'm not thinking he doesn't come in shape physically, right? I think he'll look physically fit. But what is his movement going to look like? And then you got Kyoji Horiguchi with fast striking, just landing some clean shots up high. Kyoji could potentially land a nasty knee to the head and put Albazi out. I could see Kyoji finishing Amir Albazi here, especially with the neck injury, a potentially deteriorated version of Amir Albazi. This fight to me doesn't seem close. I think Kyoji Horiguchi styles on him. How he gets it done is where I feel the difficulty, because it's not like Albazi is a guy known for quit, right? Or known for weakness. But Kyoji Horiguchi, I think, is going to be landing some nasty leg kicks, some good punch combinations, fending the takedowns off real well. And I do think you're going to see some nice knees from Kyoji Horiguchi. And I could see him catching Albazi spamming some takedowns with a nice knee to the head, putting him down and TKOing him here, potentially clubbing and subbing him. So I think Horiguchi is live for a stoppage. Moneyline of Horiguchi is wide, man. Minus 350 for Kyoji Horiguchi. There's some wide favorites on this card. And I think Horiguchi deserves to be minus 350. He looked like he's ready for a championship fight in his most recent win, where he went out and picked apart Said Nurmagomedov, sorry, Tigir They look similar. My mistake, all right? Sorry to the Dagestanis watching. I'm not trying to mix you guys up. I'm not saying you guys all look alike. I'm just mixing it up because they look similar between the two. Over 2.5 is minus 250. I don't know. I don't love the over. Something's telling me violence is live for Kyoji Horiguchi. He's a precision striker with a big speed advantage, fighting a guy that's very inconsistent with competition, whose biggest win is a robbery win. And outside of that, it's Alessandro Costa, who's levels below Horiguchi. Just lost to Alden Korea, who's making his UFC debut by knockout, you know? I don't know if Amir Albazi is really, even top 10. I'm curious how he would fare against Alex Perez. I think he could end up getting hurt in that fight. So something's just hinting to me that Horiguchi by stoppage will make a lot of sense here. I don't know what that line's going to look like. I'm very curious to see it. You look at Horiguchi's fighting career, 15 knockout wins, 6 submissions, and then 14 KOs. And he does damage to lead to submission first. Not like he's a submission ace as the A1 style. It's more beat the shit out of you, break you, and then sub you like he did in his last fight against Tigir. So potential club and sub situation, but I do think Horiguchi styles on Amir Albazi. This fight should not be close, and I think Kyoji Horiguchi is most likely punching his ticket into a mega fight next. Who is that? I don't know. It could be a Tyra fight. It could be a Cop fight. I don't know what Pantoja. It really is interesting, right? Because he has the win over Cop, obviously not in the UFC, and Ryzen, but still a massive win. And that's a guy that's on the cusp of contention. But Joshua Van is the champ. I think Kyoji Horiguchi is really closing in on a title fight. At worst, he fights the Asu Amabayev Brandon Moreno winner. Especially if it's Brandon Moreno. I think that'd be a big fight. Horiguchi Moreno makes a lot of sense. So we'll see what happens. But with Horiguchi showing out as I expect him to, and especially if he's in for a finish, he's in a number 1 contender fight next. Could potentially punch his ticket to a title shot even, depending on circumstances around some of the other top guys at flyweight. So Horiguchi to wreck Amir Albazi is my pick here. Let's jump to the main event. Make sure you guys hit the like button for me. Also, subscribe to the channel and hype up this video too. We got Mario Bautista versus Vinicius Oliveira. You ready? I'm going Vinicius Oliveira. I like Vinicius Oliveira a lot. I think his unorthodox style gives Mario Bautista some issues here. Vinicius Oliveira is awkward as hell, man. He moves his head a lot, though. It's not like he's awkward with his hands down, just sitting stiff. Tons of side-to-side movement, dips, and then rips over the top. Now, you could argue timing a high kick from Mario Bautista could be a strategy, and maybe. But Vinicius Oliveira has like a God-given gift of reflexes. So with the high-level reflexes, his eyes are incredible. With the awkward striking style, with the hands low by the hip, it makes him very hard to read. Whereas Mario Bautista, I would consider more of a traditionalist. He's got pretty good striking, right? Nice boxing, good straight punches down the line, decent jab, decent follow-up with a straight, good accuracy, good output, good cardio, solid leg kicker, mixes some kicks up high to threaten and make opponents think. And then his takedown arsenal is decent. But it's not like Mario Bautista is an elite level wrestler. Mario has very good pressure. Mario is a guy that backs you up and makes you fight in a high output game, and he can break people with that style. He can get in your face, push you up against the cage, right? Wear on you, wear the arms out, hit the signature takedown, control a bit. Doesn't do a ton of damage from top. It's not a finisher from top position, but is sound at, if he's on top, keeping that position. The problem is he's fighting a guy that's probably live to catch him with shots over the top, a guy that is forward pressure focused. Right? Mario Bautista going to be forced on the back foot a bit, going to be forced to kind of outpoint and then fend off the chaos from Vinicius Oliveira, which I think is very difficult to do. Vinicius Oliveira is also huge for this weight class. He posted on his story yesterday that he weighed about 164 pounds. It was in kilograms, and I did the calculation. So he was about 164 pounds yesterday, which was Saturday. 6 days out from the weigh-in, so he's cutting like 29 pounds, 28 pounds if he's getting a 136. He's massive for the weight class. Not that Bautista's small. He's very jacked. He's in great shape. But Vinicius Oliveira is like freakishly big for the weight class. And I think it's more his thickness and his physical strength, and then his unrelenting ability to press forward with chaos and his weird ass style and his just consistent motion to go into range. And like, you don't really know what to expect. He might throw a flying knee. He might try to kick you in the face. He might go for the overhand. He might end up pretending he's going to punch and then throws a nasty kick to the legs. And he's a good leg kicker. Vinicius Oliveira is just really weird. He's a weird fighter. It's a very strange, unique style that's just patented by him. And for most humans, that style doesn't work. That style does work when you have a very good chin, when you're very much so a natural athlete who is fast twitch, but also for some reason seems to have good cardio. Because I feel like Vinicius Oliveira has a strong gas tank. You might be like, oh, but we haven't seen it in the later rounds. But look at how at the end of the Kyler Phillips fight, he's not tired. And he's still going full blast at Kyler Phillips. And he's a high volume striker, which matches the volume of Bautista, but with the unorthodox approach. And Vinicius Oliveira, he's also pretty good with his takedowns, and he's solid from top position. And he's young at 30. Not that Bautista's old. He's 32, only 2 years older. 6 months ago against Kyler Phillips, but he wasn't even 30. He was 29. Now, 30-year-old man, Vinicius Oliveira, I'm anticipating this guy to make some adjustments. And I just think the chaotic style that Vinicius Oliveira has and brings to this matchup is a style that causes for issues on a technical striker, especially when both are high output. Bautista does things correct by the book. He blocks beautifully, right? He mixes his straight shots beautifully. He puts the pressure at the right times, knows when to shoot takedowns. But with Vinicius Oliveira, I could see like a clubbing shovel uppercut as Mario Bautista looks to shoot, or a flying knee, or just as Mario's backing up and moving away, just big explosions into range. And then Vinicius Oliveira tying up with him, backing him up against the cage and kind of physically outworking him. This is a very interesting matchup for sure, because there is arguments for both guys. Because you could say, well, Mario Bautista's accuracy, what if he's getting clean shots to the legs off, slowing down Vinicius Oliveira, landed some shots up high. But then on the flip side, Vinicius Oliveira is not just a headhunter. Maybe with his hands he is normally. But when you look at how he mixes in heavy leg kicks, I can see him chopping at Mario Bautista. And it's not like Vinicius doesn't have some takedown threats. I could see him hitting a takedown. And I definitely see him defending takedowns. I feel like this is a wild back and forth fight where Vinicius Oliveira could end up landing some crazy wild punch or a flying knee or something insane and knocking Bautista out. But I could also see 5 rounds of competitive work, but just an unrelenting, wild forward pressure style approach, giving Mario Bautista problems and outworking him over the 5 rounds. Bautista has not fought somebody with this weird ass style. Not to say that Vinicius Oliveira has fought a Mario Bautista before, but he did fight and shut down Ricky Simón. Not saying that Ricky Simón's the same as Mario Bautista. They're different styles, and Mario Bautista also beat Ricky Simón. But he dealt with, the strong wrestling of Ricky Simón and backed him up and bullied him, really. And he bullies everybody. That's what Vinicius Oliveira does. He's just kind of the madman in this UFC bantamweight division. And I think he can go out and outwork Mario Bautista and catch him with some wild shit and just win a weird, wild, crazy back and forth fight and shut him down. At the end of the day, you look at Mario Bautista and you go, well, he hit Umar with a knee. Yeah, but he got dominated in wrestling. And then the fight before that, he beat Patchy Mix, but it's Patchy Mix though. Patchy Mix doesn't move his head. Fight before that, Jose Aldo. I thought that he could have lost that decision. It's a washed Aldo. And then fight before that, Ricky Simón. Goes out and wins. Got taken down a couple times. Landed a takedown. Outstruck him like 112 to something. Landed a good amount of strikes. Both guys had high output strikes against Ricky Simón. And then the Damon Blackshear fight was a pretty competitive back and forth fight. I think Vinicius Oliveira is live to shock some people here. Picks are close. 59% Bautista, 41 Oliveira. And I'm not surprised by that. I think Vinicius Oliveira has this X factor about him. And I think that X factor is chaos and unorthodox striking that many few bring to the table. And it just works for him. It wouldn't work for anybody else as he's punching from the hip, but he's hard to read and predict. And I think that is going to give Mario Bautista some trouble here, especially that Mario Bautista is not a big puncher. He's not heavy-handed. He has precise volume strikes, but doesn't have a ton of power. And Vinicius Oliveira being such a bully, you really have to hurt him to keep him off of you. And I just don't feel confident that Bautista hurts him with the shot. And I think that Vinicius Oliveira's cardio should hold up. His chaos should carry him through. And I think he can outwork Mario Bautista, but he'd be live for a knockout as well. Plus 160 for Vinicius Oliveira, minus 185 for Mario Bautista. Let's see what the over rounds is. Over 4.5 plus 100. So they're thinking maybe a finish. We've seen Mario Bautista finish before, if you guys remember, way back. Trevin Jones knocked him out with an uppercut. Sandhagen armbar, it ain't nothing. I'm just thinking to myself, shovel uppercut or a big knee from Vinicius Oliveira to hurt Mario Bautista at some point. I don't think that's an impossibility. So I'm going to go with Vinicius Oliveira. I think that sometimes wild shit that just isn't technical at all, especially when it's done by a freak athlete who's in very good physical condition, can give a lot of problems to a guy that's well-conditioned and well-schooled in a Mario Bautista. I'm going to favor Vinicius Oliveira, and I'm going to say he also should win the battle of forward pressure. And a Mario Bautista off of his back foot, I like a lot less, especially with Vinicius Oliveira's chaos. And I think for Bautista, trying to neutralize this threat, get him to the ground, get on top. These are good strategies. But I think Vinicius Oliveira's got some strong takedown defense. And I think he's got a good ground game as well. And I think Vinicius Oliveira is going to pull this one out and push himself closer towards a massive fight. And this is it. I mean, this is his main event. But I mean, if he beats Mario Bautista, he's now in the conversation for the higher tier opposition and really getting a shot into that top 5. I've been high on Vinicius Oliveira for a long while. He was an underdog in some fights, and I believed in him, and he's an underdog again. I picked him as an underdog when he fought against Said Nurmagomedov, and many doubted, right? Handled business against Ricky Simone as a dog, beat Kyler Phillips, obviously, as a slight favorite. He's a guy to believe in, man, and he's an underdog again here. I'm going to favor Vinicius Oliveira to do more throughout the 25 minutes and pull out a win. I think if somebody gets a knockdown, it's more likely to be Vinicius Oliveira. If there's a big bomb that lands over the top and damage is done, it's more likely to be Vinicius Oliveira. For the danger threat, for the unorthodox approach, and just the weird, tricky style that he brings to the table, I am going to say that his also cardio and unrelenting pressure are the ultimate difference makers in a fight against a well-schooled guy like Mario Bautista. I think Vinicius Oliveira could hurt him, man. We've been waiting for Mario Bautista to fight somebody from Brazil to make him pay for putting us through that snoozer against Jose Aldo. I'm telling you, Vinicius Oliveira is carrying the Jose Aldo legacy on his back into a win this Saturday against Mario Bautista. I'm going lock dog Vinicius Oliveira for an upset. Lock dog again as an upset pick for me. It's going to be my main event call for UFC Vegas 113. And I got to tell you, I'm actually pretty hyped for this card. Like when you go through it and really put the microscope on all the fights, there's high likelihood of bangers at the Meta Apex. Now we're going to actually have a crowd in attendance, and it's going to look like an actual venue. So I'm also really hyped to see what this UFC Apex brings in 2026. And I think a Vinicius Oliveira underdog win in the main event, good way to cap this Apex return, or the Meta Apex debut, I'll call it, for the UFC. I think Lock Dog's got it. Now, I want to hear from you guys in the comments. I know some people are going to be all after me. I feel like we're going to both have fist up going to war because I expect this fight to be pretty split down the center. So let me know in the comments who you got. I want to hear from you guys. If you got nothing to say in the comments, it's a W to boost the algorithm for your boy. Smash the like button for me. Turn the post notifications on. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Like I said, hype the video. I'll be live for the whole card. Don't miss the Fight Companion. And I'll also have content every single day of the week. So keep it locked in to the MMA Experts channel. I'll be here every single day. I love yous all. I'll see yous in the next one. Good night. Peace out.